The next topic is recursive definitions and structural inductions. First, we will see the definition of recursion. What do you mean by recursion? So in this case, it may be difficult to define an object explicitly. That is, directly, it might be difficult to define. So we cannot define directly, but what we can do is we can define the object by itself. So in terms of itself, it can be defined in terms of itself. In that case, if we are able to define the object in terms of itself, then this process is also known as recursion. So that is what you have studied when you studied about recursive functions. So recursive functions were when you were able to define a function in terms of itself. So when a sequence is defined recursively by specifying how terms of the sequence are found, then the previous terms, and for this we also use induction. That is, suppose if we are using the sequence and we are finding the next terms in that, so we have already seen the topic sequence and summation. In that we had a sequence of numbers, and for that, if you remember, the best examples was Fibonacci numbers. In that, if you're finding the next number from the previous terms, then that is known as recursion. Okay, so this entire concept is known as recursion. While we use induction, induction is used to prove results about the sequence, is used to prove results about the sequence. When a set is defined recursively, some of the initial elements are defined. So whenever you're talking about a sequence, if it is defined, so first we define initial elements. Initial elements are defined, and the basis step. So whenever you have initial elements to be defined, that is known as a basis step. And that basis step provides a rule for constructing new elements. So the new elements are constructed from the basis step. Constructed from this basis step, and this step is known as the recursive step. To prove results recursively, we use a method to prove results on recursively defined sets. We use the structural induction method. So that is our topic, which is recursive definition and structural induction. So first we will see the first topic, which is recursively defined functions. So let's see that. A recursive or inductive definition of a function consists of two steps, as I have said earlier, basis step and recursive step. So basis step specifies the value of the function at the 0, and recursive step gives a rule for finding its value at an integer from its value at smaller integers. So that is, whenever we have recursively defined functions, we have two steps, basis and recursive step, and such a function is known as either recursive or inductive definition. Suppose that if we are taking an example where if function is defined recursively and f of 0 is 3 and f of n plus 1 is given as 2 into f of n plus 3. So this is your basis step, while this is known as the recursive step. So f of n plus 1 is equal to 2 into f of n plus 3. If we want to find f of 1, f of 2 and f of 3, what can we do? We have to substitute n is equal to 0 over here. So let's solve the problem. N is equal to 0. Then we get f of 0 plus 1 is equal to 2 into f of 0 plus 3. This gives us 2 into, what is f of 0 is defined as 2 into 3 plus 3. So it gives 6 plus 3. F of 1 is given as 9. So let's write the solution over here. F of 1 is equal to 9. Then we have f of 2. For f of 2, we have to take n is equal to 1, then it can be written as 1 plus 1, 1 plus 1 and 2 into f of 1 since n is equal to 1 plus 3. So it gives us f of 1 is 9. So 2 into 9 plus 3. So it will give us the result 21. So f of 2, the result we got as 21. And then for f of 3, we have to take n is equal to 2. So let's take n is equal to 2. So it will be 2 plus 1 is equal to 2 into n is 2. So f of 2 plus 3. F of 2 was 21. So 2 into 21 plus 3, 42 plus 3, it gives us 45. So f of 3 is given as 45. So here, this is our basis step, recursive step, and this is how we solve the problem. Now, similarly, if we want to create an inductive definition of the factorial function, let's see that. So for inductive function, we know factorial is f of n is equal to n factorial, and we know that here our basis step is f of 0 is equal to 1. Then what will be f of n plus 1? F of n plus 1 is defined as n plus 1 into f of n, or normally what do we write? N plus 1 whole factorial is equal to n plus 1 into n factorial. So this can be written as, suppose if we want to define f of 5. For f of 5, we can write it as 5 factorial. Then f of 5 is given as 5 into f of 4. If we take n is equal to 4, then f of 5 will be 5 into f of 4. What about f of 4? F of 4 can be written as 5 into 4 into f of 3. Then f of 3 is written as 5 into 4 into 3 into f of 2. After that, 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into f of 1. And then we have 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into f of 1 will be 1 into f of 0. So 1 into f of 0. This is simply 5 into 4 and 1 into 1, which will be equivalent to 120. So this entire process is known as inductive definition or inductive procedure. So recursively defined functions are well defined, and also the another example which we have already seen is the example for Fibonacci numbers. So Fibonacci numbers, they are defined as f0, f1, f2 and so on, and the basis step for Fibonacci number is actually we have two elements defined in the case of basis step, which is f of 0 is equal to 0 and f of 1 is equal to 1. And our recursive step is defined as f of n is equal to f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2. That is the sum of the two previous terms for all the values of n from 2, 3, 4 and so on. So now if we want to find the Fibonacci numbers value from f2, f3, f4, f5, then we can proceed as following. So f2 will be equal to f0 plus f1, which is 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. f3 will be equal to the previous two terms f2 plus f1, which is 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. f4 will be equal to the previous two terms f3 plus f2, 2 plus 1, 3. And then finally f5 will be equal to f4 plus f3, 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. So this is the recursively defined functions, a few of the examples for recursively defined function. Let's see the same. So this one has been already done, where we took f of 0 is equal to 3, f of n plus 1 is equal to 2 into f of n plus 3, and I found the first three. Similarly, I've done the fourth one also over here. You can take it, f of 4, and then recursive definition of the factorial function. So I wrote, this is your factorial function, f of 0 is equal to 1 is the basis step, while the recursive step is f of n plus 1 is equal to n plus 1 into f of n. Now we have given a recursive definition. The first part of the definition will give you for the value for a naught, while the next part will give you the value for a n plus 1. So after that, we have seen the Fibonacci numbers. So Fibonacci numbers F0, F1 are given, while F1 is also given. The next is recursively defined sets and structures. Sets can also be defined recursively. So sets are also defined recursively. And similar to recursive definition of a function, recursive definition of sets also have two parts. The two parts are basis step and the recursive step. In the basis step, we have an initial collection of elements, while in the recursive step, new elements are formed from the set which has been already provided. Sometimes the recursive definition has an exclusion rule which specifies that the set contains nothing other than the elements specified in the basis step and generated by applications of the rules in the recursive step. So basically what does an exclusion rule do is it will specify which elements are to be excluded, and it will also specify that only the elements obtained from the recursive step are to be included. But we will always assume that the exclusion rule holds even if it is not particularly mentioned. And we will also later develop a form of induction called structural induction to prove results about recursively defined sets. So let's see an example for this recursively defined sets. Consider the subset S of the set of integers defined by, so for basis step it is given as 3 belongs to S. So the element 3 belongs to your set S. While what about the recursive step? The recursive step gives that if X belongs to S and Y belongs to S, then X plus Y is in S. Okay. So initially, for the first step, the elements found in S are 3 by the basis step. After that, we can take 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. Okay, X plus Y is in S. So right now, X and Y both are your 3, the element 3. After that, you have now 3 comma 6 in the set. Now X and Y can be either 3 comma 6 or 6 comma 3. So the next step will be 3 plus 6 is equal to 6 plus 3 is equal to 9. So the next element added is 9. Then we can add 6 plus 6, 6 plus 9, 9 plus 6, and 6 plus 6 will give you the 12, 6 plus 9, 15, and that way we can keep on adding. So basically your set is the multiples of 3, positive multiples of 3. So if you notice, we had 3, 6, 9, then we will add 12 and 15 by adding 6 plus 6, 9 plus 9 also 18 is added. So all of these are the set of all positive multiples of 3. Okay, so this is the subset of integers where your basis step was 3 belongs to S. Let's see the same. So over here, basis step, recursive step, we were adding X plus Y, and this continues. Now what about the natural numbers n? 0 belongs to n, and if n is in n, then n plus 1 is also in n. So we will keep on adding plus 1, and this continues. So this is how we are constructing sets which are recursively defined. Now for strings, similarly, we can consider for strings, that is the set of sigma star of strings over the alphabet sigma, and sigma can be defined in any which way, that is the basis step can be defined with any string. So over here we are saying that lambda belongs to sigma star where it is the empty string, and if w is in sigma star and x is in sigma, then wx belongs to sigma star. What does it mean? Suppose if we are taking the set of alphabets 0 comma 1 and sigma star are the set of all bit strings. So bit strings means it will be either in 0 or 1, and we are saying the empty string is included in sigma star. So empty string, then each of them individually, then we consider the bit strings 0 0 1 0, and this will keep on continuing. So over here Whenever we are considering the recursive step, we are saying that if w is in sigma star and x is in sigma, what are we doing? We are joining w and x. So say similarly, 0 and 1 individually will be in sigma star. Then we are considering 0 0. We are concatenating the two strings basically. Concatenating means joining the two strings. Okay, similarly, if suppose AB is in sigma, then show that AAB is in sigma star. So first we will start with the empty string lambda is in sigma star and also A is in sigma. So A belongs to sigma star. Similarly, we will take two ways, concatenate it, and then finally concatenate the string with B. So two strings can be combined via the operation of concatenation. So this operation of joining two strings is known as concatenation. And suppose sigma be the set of symbols and sigma star is your set of strings formed from the sigma symbols in sigma. The concatenation of two strings is denoted by the basis step being the empty string, while the recursive step is joining the two strings. Now based on this, let's see the definition for string concatenation first. Two strings can be combined via the operation of concatenation, that is, sigma be a set and sigma star be the set of strings, then we can concatenate in the following way. Suppose if W1 is abra and W2 is kadabra, then the concatenation will basically join these two strings. Now, the next is length of a string. So the length of a string is, you have to define the length of the empty string first, which will be 0, and the length of the string w and x which you were concatenating will be length of w plus the single string, the single character whose length will be 1, while w belongs to your sigma star and x belongs to the set of alpha, the set of string. Another important use of the recursive definition is to define a well-formed formula in propositional logic. Now, what do you mean by a well-formed formula? Well-formed formula is basically whenever you have two propositions and the propositional variables are joined by a connective, and if they are given in the way that you can solve it, that is P or and Q, or else we can write P or Q, negation P, negation Q. All of these can be considered as well-formed formula. But what are not well-formed formulas? Suppose if you're writing P, Q, and this is, this does not have any meaning, so it is not considered as a well-formed formula. So whenever we are talking about recursive definition, each time if we want to increase the formula, if this is considered entirely as your string x and this is considered as y, then we can join these two strings by another connective, either it can be or and. Suppose if I'm using and, then p and q and p or q. What are we doing here? We are recursively joining or concatenating the strings x and y by using the connective and. So this is also done by recursively defined functions, and this well-formed formula is basically another application of here recursively defined functions. Well-formed formula in propositional logic. The set of well-formed formulas in propositional logic involving true false propositional variables and operators from the set negation and or implication and by implication. What is the basis step? T, F, and S, where S is a propositional variable. So S over here is basically our P that we have studied, are well-formed formulas. Okay, so the basis step is either we can take simply true or simply false or even our propositional variable P, or in this case S. Recursive step will be if these are well-formed formulas, then we can add any of the connective or an negation in such a way that it should give some kind of meaning, that is negation E, E and F, E or F, E implication F, and E by implication F. All of these are well-formed formulas. So P or Q implies Q and F is a well-formed formula, while P, Q and, as I've said earlier, it is not a well-formed formula. The next topic is rooted trees. So rooted trees is basically whenever we are creating a rooted tree, it consists of a set of vertices and edges, and the set of rooted tree, where a rooted tree consists of a set of vertices and containing a distinguished vertex called the root. Okay, so we will have some vertex called the root, and basically your tree is a set of vertices and edges, and one of that vertex is called the root, while the other vertices are considered as the leaves of that tree, and the ones joining the root and the leaves are called the branches or the edges, and the edges connecting these vertices can be defined recursively by these steps. So a single vertex is a rooted tree, and suppose that T1, T2 and Tn are disjoint rooted trees with roots R1, R2 and Rn. So first we have our root simply R. This is a single vertex R rooted tree. After that we have a few other trees in this way. We have R1, R2, R3. Okay, so these are the three trees which have the roots R1, R2 and R3 respectively. Then the graph formed by starting with a root R which is not in any of the rooted trees and adding an edge from R to each of the vertices. So I'm adding an edge from R to R1, R to R2 and R to R3. Now this is considered as a tree. So this tree, it can also be given as building up rooted trees, which you'll see in the next slide. So yeah, so basis step is a single tree. In the step 1, I'm joining two roots. Over here 3 and 4 and this continues. And while in the step 2, which is again I recursively add a vertex. So over here to this tree, I'm adding one more vertex. To this one, I'm adding, for the same, I'm adding two vertices. Only I'm speaking about only this tree right now. So for this tree, I'm adding two vertices, three vertices and four vertices. And for this tree then, here I'm adding one vertex on the right side and the left side, and then this keeps on continuing. So what are we doing basically over here from the basis step? That is, our basis step was a single root. In the recursive step, which is step 1, I'm adding only for that single root one one root, and for this 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. Now for these individual trees, again I keep on adding the roots each time, increasing them by 1. Okay, so this is the rooted trees, and this concept is very important in the last chapter of this subject, which is graphs. For now we just are seeing the recursive application of recursiveness in trees. After that we have something known as binary trees. So binary trees is a topic which you also study in discrete structures. So binary trees is that for each tree it is a special type of rooted tree, and for each tree you will have only two children. The set of full binary trees can be defined recursively by these steps. There is a full binary tree consisting of only a single vertex R. So first we start again with only one root, which is R, or single vertex R. And if T1 and T2 are disjoint full binary trees, then there is a full binary tree denoted by T1 dot T2 and consisting of a root R together with edges connecting the root to each of the roots of left subtree and right subtree. What it means is basically to this R we will give a left child and a right child. So this is considered as a binary tree. Whenever a root has two children, it is considered as a binary tree. And in the next step, for each of these children, we will give two children again. So for this is here one recursive step once, and in the other recursive step you can consider children to the right subchild, and then the third recursive step, I'll just explain it over here in the diagram which has been given. So this is the basis step where you have a single root. In the next step, since you are supposed to consider it as full binary tree, you are supposed to consider two children each time for a single node. So this is your step 1. In the step 2, you will keep adding two children either to the left child or the right child, or to both of these children. So this is the way you are constructing a full binary tree. Now the same way we will also have extended binary trees. So extended binary trees, they can be defined recursively by these steps. So the first will be the empty set is an basis step. The empty set is an extended binary tree. While recursive step is if T1 and T2 are disjoint, as we have studied in full binary tree. For that, the diagram will be in this way. So the root basis step will be, or the step 1 is this, a single root. Step 2 will be in this way, a full binary tree or a tree with only one child, and this will keep on continuing. So now over here, the next topic will be structural induction. So to prove a property of the elements of a recursively defined set, we use structural induction. So what does this mean? To show that the set S is defined in the earlier example, the first example, if you remember, which was our set basis step was 3 belongs to S, and then recursive step was X belongs to S, Y belongs to S, then X plus Y belongs to S. Now for this, we have to show that A be the set of all positive integers. So we can prove it by A be the set of all positive integers divisible by 3. To prove that A is equal to S, we must show that every positive integer divisible by 3 is in the set S. So we have to first start with 3 into 1, which is equal to 3. It is in S. Okay. And now what about the inductive step? So for inductive step, we are supposed to consider Pk is true. That is, if you remember, in mathematical induction, we start with a considering, assuming that the variable with respect to Pk is true. Okay. Now, if we are talking about Pk, then it means that 3 into k is in S. Okay. 3 into any variable, if we multiply 3 with 2, 3, 4, whatever value we get, it should be in the set S. Now, apart from that, if 3k is in S, then we also consider Pk plus 1 is in S. So Pk plus 1 will be 3 into k plus 1, 3k plus 3. Okay, 3k plus 3 is basically, if you use the property x plus y is in S whenever x and y are in S, then in that case 3 divides x and 3 divides y. Okay, if x and y are both in A, x and y are both in A, okay, then if they are supposed to be the multiples of 3, then 3 should divide x and also 3 should divide y. Then 3 divides x plus y also. Okay, so if you remember, this was the property we have studied in the first chapter. If a divides b and a divides c, then a divides b plus c. So 3 divides x plus y, and this can also be written as 3 into k plus 1. So this k plus 1 is a multiple of 3. So instead of using the mathematical induction, what we did is we directly proved the results by using the recursively defined sets, and this kind of proof is known as the structural induction. So structural induction. This structural induction proof consists of two parts instead of basis step. So in the mathematical induction, we had basis step and inductive step. In this case, we will have basis step and recursive step. So in the basis step, what will we do? We will show that the result holds for the element which is in the set already. So we were showing that the result was true for 3. Okay. So element in the set already which is whatever element is in the set, we will check that for basis step. While for recursive step, we will show that if the statement is true for each of the elements used to construct new elements in the recursive step, then the result will be true for the new elements also. So basically, recursive step, we will show or check for the new elements. If the new elements are giving you the are giving you the result that it is true for the equation, then obviously your recursive step will also hold.